Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the meeting of Templeton Community Services District Board of Directors. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 6:30 p.m. Let's go ahead with roll call, please.
Directors McDonough.
Here.
Logan.
Here.
Mortensen.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
And Tyrone.
Here. Great, all board members are here. We have a quorum. Pledge of allegiance, please stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, please have a seat. Report out of closed session, we had a closed session on September 16, 2025, and there's nothing to report from that closed session meeting. Order of business, do any of the board members would like to change the business? Anything? Special report, we have our CHP manager here already, wonderful. Go ahead, sir. Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, sure, thank you. No, go ahead.
Save the best for last. For those that don't know me, I'm Darren Janusa, the commander for Templeton CHP. Tonight, I'm going to give you two reports. This will be crashing and statistics for two periods. One will be the month of September, and then I have it broken down for third quarter of 2025. And I will start with September. For the month of September, there were a total of 17 crashes investigated in 2025, 11 on the highway, 6 on county roads. Of those, 13 were property damage only. 4 were injury. There was 1 DUI related collision. That was on the highway, and fortunately, no fatalities occurred. I'm happy to say that. No, I'm not happy to say that. Crashes have been trending downward in the Templeton region overall for our jurisdiction for this September month, up significantly, 117%, 13 compared to 6 from the same period last year. Enforcement contacts, good or bad, depending how you want to receive that information. 46% increase in enforcement contacts. 190 were made in the month of September, 145 on the highway, 45 on county roads. Out of those 190 enforcement contacts, 127 resulted in citations being issued. 39 were for speeding violations. 28 were on the highway, 11 on our county roads here. 11 were for seatbelt violations, almost half on the county roads, with 6 on the highway, 5 on county roads. There were 5 DUI arrests, 3 on the highway, 2 on county roads. So seatbelt violations, 11 for the same period this year compared to 2 last year, 450% increase. Max speed violations increased 105% compared to the same time last year. Now let's do third quarter. These are kind of significant too. 50 collisions were investigated for the third quarter, down slightly from 53 the previous time. 37 of those were property damage only. 13 injury related, that's 43% decrease from the same period last year. 4 DUI related collisions. Enforcement contacts, this has grown significantly for us month after month, quarter after quarter, and I'll tell you why shortly. Total enforcement contacts for the same period, 570 compared to 315, so 81% increase in enforcement contacts. 70% more citations being issued, 354. And a majority of these are on the highway. 281 total citations on the highway, 73 on county roads. 104 of those were for max speed, 2 of them for over 100 miles per hour on the highways, fortunately not on our county roads. And seatbelt violations, 18%. Here's another significant increase. 26 DUI arrests occurred compared to the 18 from the previous quarter. That's a 44% increase in DUI arrests. We've been seeing a drop in DUI arrests in our Templeton region. I like to say that that's good. Not that they're eluding us, but maybe perhaps fewer people are drinking and driving. I don't believe that's really true, but it just we haven't seen as many arrests, but I'd like to be optimistic that that's happened. Overall for the quarter, higher CHP Templeton area. For those that don't know, Templeton, CHP, very similar to the County Sheriff's. We cover the county line at Monterey County on Highway 101 down to Highway 58. Highway 46 from Cambria Highway 1 all the way east to the Kern Kings County line. So you have Highway 41 and 46 respectively. Highway 58 all the way out to, what is that, Kern, Ventura, San Luis Obispo County, all the way out by Cal Valley. And then all the county roads in this region, very significant. In this period, third quarter, 6,472 citations have been issued, so significant increase. Why is that? Why are these numbers increasing and decreasing significantly? You've probably heard me message this in the past. We have 5 new officers. Our staffing is at a premium right now. All the officers that have been training over the past first and second quarter are all off their break-in period. It means they're following the nest and they're actually operating by themselves as young, eager new officers, and they're out there actively doing the roles of providing the highest level of safety, service, and security for Templeton or for the Highway Patrol. That's our mission, and they're really involved in the community. You've heard me speak in the past that I'm keeping track of how often our officers are in your community. In August, 38 times black and white CHP officer was in Templeton. That increased in September, 55 times an officer was driving them. That means that when they're in the community, whether it's on Main Street, stopping, going to the market, or making a presence in the community, that they're coming back and noting that they were here. And that's good. That's different than just driving along the freeways and never coming into your community or any communities respective to CHP's jurisdictions. So it's important that the communities like yours see it black and white more often than not. Right? You'd agree. And I'll say it again, people tend to not do bad things when they know they're being watched. You know, if there's not any questions for me, that's all I have.
Any questions from the board? Questions, comments from public? No?
Thank you all.
Actually, I just want to make, there were a couple of people that have commented to me that they've actually been impressed by CFP officers at different community meetings and events. So they just wanted me to relay that message.
Thanks for sharing that.
Throughout there. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. I'll pass it on.
Okay, now we have Sheriff here
Good
next.
evening, Sandra Arauza, Commander of the Sheriff's Office North Station. Giving you stats for September to year. Last year we had 363 calls, where we're at 359 this year, so we're almost even. Same month last year, we took 76 reports. We took 56 this year, so that's down. We did take 5 reports for assault and battery, 1 for disturbance, 2 for burglary, 2 for theft, 1 for vandalism, and we had 4 reports for scam, which last month that's pretty high overall. 6 calls for service for that, but 4 reports were actually taken. So either we had leads or people were actually victims in these cases. There are a few that just want it documented. A lot of the banks will file a police report in order for us to open an investigation. So there's a variety of different reasons on why we take those reports. And we had a total of 29 suspicious circumstance calls, and of those we took 6 reports. Any questions for me? Just a side note, this online trend of these young individuals that are going around and picking garage doors. I want to know about it. I want to hear about it. There's another community that we're trying to identify it, and we think there's a community member who knows, and it's really hard because he doesn't want to say. And that becomes very difficult because it just gives the reality of when, you know, you're a victim, right? And they just damaged your door, but he just has concerns of retaliation. So if that's the case, then, we want to know. But also a lot of neighbors have cameras. And there's other ways for us to identify people without naming you as, I know they did it, but it just kind of made me really sad because, my deputy says, yeah, he doesn't want to say, and the camera it shows images of, individuals what appear to be males. We're only assuming they're young, right? But, just things to look at because, we have a lot of copycats. Social media is a thing, a lot of these kids follow these trends, and I know we've had it here, but not like in this community, so, cameras are up to the homeowner, but if you have neighbors, just look out for each other. And if you know of someone who's been a victim of this and maybe they don't want to come forward, just at least talk to us, make the report, because if we can figure out and identify them without naming you as the person who says this is who they are, we're gonna try and do that. Yes, sir.
Where is this happening?
Heritage Ranch. Mhm.
It's bad enough that it's damaging the doors, or is it?
Yeah, they literally pull up next, in front of the house or offset from the house, and they run and they kick the garage door. And it's normally several individuals, either out of a car, out of bicycles, out of a golf cart. I don't follow social media. I'm not big on social media. It's like scrolling, like I'll try to look to see, what useful information is out from my partner agencies or, the communities, things like that. But I'm not on TikTok. Unless somebody sends me something, of course I'm interested, but, I just want to throw that out there because that was a twist I was not expecting, because the deputy says he knows who it is. And I'm like, well, we can't make him tell us, is the thing. So,
I know of an older, elderly lady in Templeton that just recently got her garage door
yeah,
kicked, and it causes a lot of damage and it's such a burden on her. She
Yeah.
had recently lost her husband, so it's very difficult. So yeah, I hope you catch the people.
yeah. So, just be mindful, look out for each other, and, we're more than welcome to look into it, to try and ease the burden as much as we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Templeton Unified School District, I don't see her here, so we'll maybe she'll come over. Okay, public comments. Members of public may address the board on any items of interest in the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, but not on the agenda. In compliance with Brown Act, the board cannot discuss or act on items not on the agenda. However, board members or district staff members may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by the public. Any public comments tonight? Go ahead.
Board members. My name is Monica Schechter, and I've been a resident of Templeton since 2001. Retired from Cal Poly 4 years ago and began volunteering at the Templeton Library just after it opened in January 2023. And as a volunteer, I've experienced firsthand the joy of the faces of children and their parents when they walk through the library doors, and discovering just a wide collection of books for all ages, puzzles, DVDs, even a bookstore. I see my neighbors bringing children or grandkids in for the Tuesday morning story time with retired children's librarian Christian Barnhart, and the Wednesday afternoon Art with Annie. Adults and seniors visit the library for coffee and adult stories, and also a book club. Our libraries become a central gathering place for all ages. It's welcoming, almost as comfortable as our own living rooms, thanks to beautiful donations of furniture and artwork. With the proximity to the high school, the library provides a space for tutoring, study groups, ESL, SAT prep, along with opportunities for students to do community service credits. Once the school year ends, the library continues to serve the community with successful summer reading programs, hands-on garden demonstrations, monthly flea market, makers market on the first Saturday of the month. One of my favorite events hosted at the library is the speaker series and book signing with our local authors. We've had standing room only for a local author from Cal Poly, a botany professor who spoke on the topic of native trees and plants. He shared highlights from several books, including a California's Guide to Trees Among Us and a children's book, Something Wonderful. So truly, the library is a gem, bringing citizens of all ages together, serving a community center that supports lifelong learning. However, Templeton residents are disappointed to learn that SLO County collects 1.6% of our property taxes for library services, and yet none of that money is going to our community library. Instead, supporting.
I'm gonna stop you there. It's been 3 minutes, but it is my fault. I should have reminded everyone you have a 3-minute limit. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you 1 more minute to finish your thoughts.
Okay, thank you. So they are supporting 14 other county branches. So on behalf of dedicated volunteers, patrons, community members, we would like to ask you to consider applying to the local agency formation commission to activate its authority to operate library services and allow us to access our Templeton tax dollars. We appreciate your consideration in placing this important action as a future agenda item.
Thank you for your comments. Any other further comments? Again, just as a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Practice, but I hope it won't go over. Oh. Okay, well, good evening, board members. My name is Christina Lee. I am a volunteer with and a member of the Templeton Community Library Association. And I gotta say that since I was a preschooler, the first time I stepped on board a bookmobile, I was hooked. So for the rest of my school days and adult years, the library has been a major resource and community center in my life. And I hope all of you can pull up some good memories and still take advantage of the library services that are offered in our area. On behalf of the Library Association members and Templeton residents, I thank all of you who have had a chance to visit our library. I'll take my glasses off. Have any of you been to the library? All right. And I hope some of you have had a chance to talk to our library board members. As Monica mentioned, in '79, when Prop 13 was enacted, SLO County closed several of our rural libraries. All of them were eventually reopened except for Templeton. So we've been without a community library for over 4 decades, which you're well aware of. Templeton, though, built and operates an all donor funded public library, which to me is totally unheard of. And that's after the county failed to follow through on their 50-50 promise initiated by the county 20-some years. So for 45 years, the county's collected that 1.6% of Templeton property taxes for library services, and none of those funds have ever come back to support our library. Instead, Templeton's tax dollars are diverted to the other 14 branches in the county system. So it's time for us to receive our fair share after 25 years of commitment and dedication to build a new one. And that's a huge example of Templeton's pride and passion. Templeton built it. Their residents, their neighbors, they put the money in and they built this place. And it serves the public And it's in the heart of town. As we said, it's across from the high school. It's within walking distance of 4 or 5 of our schools. Preschoolers come and we nurture their young minds in an outstanding learning environment every single week. And this wouldn't happen if we did what the county said, which was, oh, go down the road 7 miles. You can go get your books there. You know, that's kind of insulting, you know, to all of our youth. Templeton has risen to the occasion, and they've done it historically, and they do it in the present. No, I've got 1 more minute.
No,
There
the
is-
time is up.
Oh, it is. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
My name is Melinda Reed. I'm president of Templeton Community Library Association. Good evening, directors. I'm here about the money. Every year, San Luis Obispo County collects $318,000 in property taxes from Templeton residents, and that money goes to the other 14 branches, not Templeton Library. So that's been the case for 45 years, as you've heard. On behalf of Templeton, of TCLA, I'm asking to be on a future agenda item to consider an application to LAFCO to activate your authority to operate library services and access that $318,000 of our tax dollars. The LAFCO application, I understand, is non-binding. It functions as a feasibility study and collecting data and analyzing costs and outlining the process of the application and activation. TCLA would cover those application fees and also staff costs for Templeton Community Services District to submit the request. The outcome of that study will define potential financial and operational responsibilities for TCSD. Importantly, the $318,000 figure that we see is for only the TCSD service area customers. There are Templeton residents outside that service boundary in the 93465 zip code that will continue to pay into the county library system, and that fact may be interesting to the county librarian. Last October, we asked TCSD to consider this step of activation, and since then, we have gotten 3 of the 5 county supervisors to express support for a tax exchange agreement to redirect the tax dollars to Templeton. But the supervisors can't vote until there are maps, boundaries, organizational details, and they're confirmed by a LAFCO application. So approving an application does not commit TCSD to operating the library. It simply allows the due diligence that we have investigated but needs to be confirmed. Estimated expenses for TCSD to operate Templeton Library annually are roughly $150,000, including wages, and TCSD could receive an additional roughly $150,000 for overhead and staff costs in the funding agreement. But what we'd like to emphasize is that we are not asking for any money from TCSD. Our goal is to return Templeton residents' tax dollars to TCSD so that we can have local control. If TCSD chooses or declines to say no or not approve an application process, the Templeton residents will continue to pay county library services that they don't receive unless they go to Atascadero. TCLA plans to continue to operate Templeton Library with volunteers as long as our funds allow. But your denial would mean that we're not eligible for state and federal grant fundings or expanding programs or hours through state activities, state library funds. So our question is, Templeton Library is an asset or is it a burden?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Good evening, directors. My name is Malcolm Pickett. First, I'd like to note a macro effect that the Templeton Library would have on the Templeton community. You know, just as having a top-notch school district lends value to a community and to its property values, so does having a vibrant community library. The library acts as a community hub, enriching the lives of all the residents. You know, in our noisy, hectic times, a library provides the solace of one author whispering into one reader's ear. And this is the draw to the private one-on-one storytelling that's always been the provenance of books. And the library invites you to come as you are. It's free. A library is not a place to be lonely. TCLA is working hard to achieve sustainable funding for operating the Templeton Library. Among other benefits, public funding would allow more hours of operation to serve the community. Also, public funding may permit the application and the addition of digital platforms for library users. TCLA understands the reluctance to add more duties to TCSD's directors and administrative staff's plates of responsibility. And to this end, TCLA would like to provide a structure wherein there will be an advisory board to oversee library operations and issues. We can use the city of Paso Robles as a model wherein they have a board of trustees supervising the city library for the city council. These are broad strokes, and through the LAFCO process, we can develop the details where funding and library operation will not add more toil to TCSD administration. All we ask is acquiescence of the board to move the process forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other comments? Okay, go ahead.
56 seconds. Still at 56. This has nothing to do with library. I live on Creekview Avenue in Templeton here. And recently I've noticed that there's water seeping out of this seam between the asphalt and the concrete gutter. And it's quite a bit of water that's coming out of there. So I don't know if this is something that you guys would handle or who I would go, because, it just seems abnormal. I have a picture if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'd be interested in learning more. This is the time of year that we suspect that might be a leak as opposed to a groundwater seepage. But if you give me the address and maybe the photograph, that'd be super helpful.
So just email it to you or?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Appreciate it. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. We have several items on the consent agenda. We have the minutes from September 16, 2025. We have the treasurer's report for August 2025. We have the budget amendment, Evers Park Improvement Planning Committee, asking for $6,534. We have the budget amendment for fire grant, which we received $15,500 for our fire fund. And then we also have members of Measure A Oversight Committee members. And lastly, we have a budget amendment and purchase of electric vehicle utility truck. Do any of the board members like to pull that item? Any items?
I'd like to pull item F, please.
Which one?
F.
Okay, great. I was gonna talk about that too. Great, thank you. Any other items? Okay, public, would you like to pull any of the items from the consent agenda to discuss? Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to approve items A, B, C, D, E of our consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve items, minutes, treasury report, budget amendments for the budget amendment for the fire grant, and members of Measure A Oversight Committee members.
Great, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Directors Mortensen,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Logan,
Aye.
Tyrone,
Aye.
and Fardonish.
Aye. Okay. That motion has been approved by 5-0. Okay, Director Peterson, any questions, comments on the purchase of electric vehicle?
Yeah, I kind of forgotten why we're buying an electrical vehicle. I know we discussed this before, but I'm old, so you have to forgive me.
So Justin's, since he's here tonight, we'll ask him to answer.
So there's new requirements handed down by the state that between 2024 and 2027, originally, public agencies were required to purchase 50% of their vehicles would be EV electric type vehicles there was recent changes, administration changes. And so CARB, extended, that 2027 limit to 2030 now. But from the period starting in 2024 to 2030, 50% of the vehicles that we purchase have to be electric.
There are some exceptions, like, for public safety vehicles, and the requirement pertains to what CARB labels as medium and heavy duty vehicles.
8,500 pounds.
So essentially, in the utilities, this really affects our utilities, trucks, because we have 3/4 ton, 1 ton equipment.
So basically, even if we voted no, we'd have to do it anyway, right? I mean.
Well, I mean, so you could vote no. And, sooner or later, we will
Yeah.
get our hands slapped for not following this requirement. We don't yet know what the consequences of that will be. We don't believe we have a valid, waiver. There are some opportunities to apply for waivers, but in this case, we don't believe we have a valid reason to have one awarded.
So next question, are we going to install a charging station or are we gonna have to go to the local?
So, this is vehicle number one. We can do, slow charging at the wastewater treatment plant. But we don't yet have equipped an ability to charge a whole fleet.
So my question would be on, I believe you're going with the F-150 Lightning.
That's correct.
Are you going with the 9.6 for the discharge?
Yeah, I believe so. We had to upgrade. Unfortunately, to meet the requirements, the 8,500 pound requirement, we had to upgrade the vehicle. By upgrading the weight rating, that meant that we had more batteries. It's just,
Would everybody be able to provide services such as electric, power washing, other equipment that can be plugged into it, less noise than running diesel engines? So there's an offset for our community when we're using resources.
correct. And, we already, let me say for this 2025 period, we've already taken in a brand new vehicle. And so by abiding by the state's requirements, we would need to purchase, another electric vehicle to offset that purchase for that earlier, gas, fuel type vehicle.
If we were to install a level 2 charging out, let's say over at the water reclamation facility, are we looking at doing solar panels or things to offset those costs?
So it was an item that we were going to work through the master plan. And in looking at the scope of work and some of those items, that I believe that particular item was pulled off of the scope of work, but it's something that we're still, working through. We have to formulate a plan. All of these vehicles at a certain point are going to be replaced with electric type vehicles at a certain point, 100%. Now it's been, extended to 2030, but then after that, all of the vehicles will be purchased, will be electric type with a gross vehicle weight rating of above 8,500 pounds. And as the general manager's point, that hits the utilities department pretty hard because all of our vehicles need the payload and the trailerability of a heavier duty vehicle. And so, although that had been pulled from the scope of work with our master plan consultant, there are a number of items that we are working diligently through. Staff are working through, find different resources, ways to provide a plan and incorporate that plan still in the master plan moving forward in that 5-year CIP. All of those sorts of these projects will still be incorporated in that long range plan to include charging stations.
This SKU, looking at the vehicle, we see that there's the range extender, but is there also the increase in capacity for tow? To the standard tow capacity of the vehicle?
I don't believe so. I think it had to be upgraded for that 8,500 gross, but I can get back, I can double check for you on that. I believe as everything had to be upgraded to meet that 8,500 pound gross vehicle weight rating, we're getting the the top, the premium package, everything that comes with it.
Thank you.
And just so you know, this vehicle is envisioned to be assigned to one of our senior operators who doesn't necessarily need to have the full capability of one of the trucks that is in, I'm sorry, one of the vehicles that are throughout the fleet. So this is another vehicle. We're not losing any capability that we have today by purchasing it.
So we're buying this truck, I mean, do we need it, or are we?
Yes, yes. Oh, no, we added a staff member this year.
Yeah,
It's
but
in the
so-
budget.
So,
yeah, but
yeah.
okay, yeah, so just.
So, yeah, it's not just to look pretty.
So, yeah, so I just wanna make
It
sure,
will
okay.
be absolutely used.
So, okay, so, I mean, overall, the big picture of things, I think this is a fantastic truck to get for our utility department. I think the staff would just love all the features, all the things you could do with that. But at the same time, I wanna make sure that we are optimizing what is, supposed to be. So that's why I guess I have a couple of questions. One is, as far as you'll be able to draw AC power from that, so you could use it for your equipment out there. Do you know what the AC power that you could draw from that? Is that the 9.6?
I would have to dig into it
It
further.
looks like it's got an extended range battery.
No.
So it has an extended range battery, it should have.
No, like when to plug in things.
Should
to
pause,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Should be
yeah.
able to
Yeah.
plug in for both the 110 and 220. The main issue that you would see with it potentially is the battery charge levels and things of that nature. So in case there is a power outage, you could actually backfeed it with
Yeah,
that.
because it's bi-directional.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's bi-directional. So how many miles per month or per year I guess, do you anticipate to put on this truck?
Our vehicles see anywhere from 8,000, or somewhere around 8,000 miles a gallon, or sorry, a year.
Okay, so it's not too high of a usage. So,
So far you could drive in Templeton.
yeah, and then, so, I mean, it seems like as far as towing, it's not gonna be that much towing that's gonna happen with
I
it.
wouldn't imagine that this would be, although it would have the capability of towing some of our trailers, it necessarily wouldn't be the go-to primary vehicle for towing needs.
Yeah, so, I mean, we talked a little bit about solar panels. I am not quite sure if solar panels would be a good answer to this because of the NEM 3 plan that everyone has to do now because the solar panels change. So basically, if you could charge the truck during the day where you actually just getting the energy from the solar panels during the day, that would be good, but I'm assuming during the day it's gonna be used.
Without doing the
So-
backup
Sure,
battery.
but there's battery offsets with the solar panels.
Yeah.
So
But
there's-
they're getting the battery and all, again, it just, I think, looking at it, I don't know if that stuff would be beneficial based on the number of miles, but again, I think we could look at it.
But we have
try to
I mean, I think
optimize
the
it.
issue of solar or battery storage is for the load in general for the facility, not just the vehicle. This obviously will add a little load,
Yeah,
but we should see an offset with fuel costs. We're not gonna be
Yes.
buying fuel for this vehicle,
Yeah.
so our energy costs will go up
And
at
then-
the facility.
and then I think, can you with PG&E, so I know they have different rates, in terms of time of use and things like that, they have EV use as well. Maybe we could talk with PG&E and see, or you could even put it online on the website and put an EV for your specific account. EV rating and see if it would save you money, changing it. And then finally, have you talked with Ford regarding, it's called Pro Power Promise? Which it helps, they would actually do the charging station, install it and things like that. I mean, I don't know exactly how it works, but they have that option, the opportunity. Have you talked with them
No,
about that?
no, certainly. I have not. I just became a member of a group of fleet, kind of a Central Coast fleet group from Santa Barbara, through Monterey. And so learning quite a lot about EVs, charging, station infrastructure, grants, funding for these sorts of things. So I have not checked into this in particular.
I mean, yeah, I don't think slow charging is gonna work that well, just plugging it into a 110, I don't think it's gonna.
Well,
work.
so-
I mean, it's gonna take like hours and hours,
But the one thing about our use that's, as a fleet, we're very different than like how a homeowner might use a vehicle. For the most part, these trucks are gonna run a limited number of miles during the workday and then stay parked over, for like 14 hours every night. So, and then during the course of the weekend, so, relying on a 110 charger is gonna be, or level 3, if you will, is gonna, or level 1 is gonna be very slow and not ideal. But our use is quite a bit different than you might envision where you're going on road trips or you're gonna need to drive 300 miles in a day or something like that. But without a doubt, we need a good long-term solution. This was really about complying with the requirement of replacing vehicles on I guess it's for every 2 new vehicles in that category that we buy per year, one of which needs to be an EV. So we've identified a use for this. It's gonna be harder next time because we can't replace all of our current vehicles with a Ford Lightning.
We can.
Well, we don't, our vehicles have utility beds and they tow they tow more and, we have some needs that can't be filled necessarily with 100% with what's on the market today. And we'll be hoping that new equipment becomes available in the market that can meet those other needs in the long term.
I know that's been published a few places, I don't know them off the top of my head, but there's also the lessening cost of maintenance on electric vehicles,
Yes.
from oil changes to brakes to
Transmissions.
So there is some long-term return of investment, if we look at it, there is a higher upfront cost for us to get it within that margin, and that includes determining what level 2 charger it is for how much off hours. From 32 to 40 amp or 60 amp or 82 amp or however we wanna look at it. But it may save us as a community more dollars when it comes down to putting the vehicles outside, being available, mental maintenance, to get everything checked out, the brakes, oil, big things, other types of things.
To be honest, I thought that's a pretty good price, 64,000.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like 90, 100,000. When I saw, Ford Lightning, but I think it's because it's the pro package or something, it's a little bit maybe less.
Yeah, and that's
expensive.
worked through the
Yeah.
states.
Commercial, type of thing. But yeah, I mean, maybe if, again, if you don't mind working with Ford and looking into that Pro Power Promise and see, they may help with the charging station. Okay, any other questions from the board?
I don't have any, I think we have to comply. This is an Assembly Bill 1594, which requires this, and I think it's not something that we can say, oh, on 2030, let's replace all of our trucks. I think this has got to be a transition over time. And I'm fully support electric vehicles.
I will support it because it gives us an option to identify what any of our deficits within the EV program would be, look like. This will be a first case scenario. And I think this is where we really kind of button down where these mandates will happen in 2035. We will know where we lack in the community for the EV mandates. Maybe there are opportunities future in the further where we can identify those lacking features in our infrastructure that we can improve.
Okay. Let me just go to any public comment on this item? Nothing on Zoom, okay. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion for this item.
I make a motion that the board approve and authorize the budget amendment to purchase a utilities department electric vehicle, utility pickup truck, included in the 2025 or 25-26 fiscal year budget in the amount of, what's the total dollar amount? $62,282.16.
Okay, all right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Mortensen,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Tyrone,
Hi.
and Bardonish.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Okay. Business item, first one is resolution number 16-2025, annual adjustment of impact. General Manager.
Yes, good evening and thank you very much. This is an item that the board deals with each year. back in 2018, the district updated its connection fee, impact fee calculation through a fee study. And when those fee studies were adopted, it was recommended by our consultant to index these fees to what's known as the construction cost index. That's a calculation that the engineering news record maintains annually. And then a couple of years ago, when we did a new fee study for the fire impact fees, it was recommended to also index those costs, the construction cost index. So we've been doing this now for 7 years or so. We have indexed it to the October calculation each year. So each October, this item is considered by the board. If it's approved, the new fees would go into effect in January. The reason for them being delayed is impact fees are governed by the government code, and some types of fees require a 60-day notice after they're approved before they can take effect. And so to ensure that we've satisfied that, we've recommended that you make these fees in effect approved January 1st. The engineering news record construction cost index went up by 3.24% from last October to this October. And I'll just quickly go through the fees that are included in the resolution and the staff report, just so everybody's aware of them. The water connection fee is currently $45,067 and is recommended to go to $46,527. There's an ADU water impact fee or connection fee from $86.21 to $8,900. The wastewater connection fee is currently $11,677, is recommended to go to $12,055. The ADU connection fee, $7,296 is current. It's recommended to go to $7,532. And fire, we've got residential and non-residential square footage currently at $1.18 and $1.92. Recommended to go to $1.22 and $1.98 per square foot. And then parks and recreation, these are broken down by a residential unit. Is $6,626 currently, recommended to go to $6,841. An ADU is currently $4,871, recommended to go to $5,029. And then for office, it's on a square foot basis, currently 51 cents, recommended to go to 53 cents a square foot. For service retail, service or retail 20, it's currently 29 cents, recommended to go to 30 cents. And for industrial, currently 21 cents and recommended to go to 22 cents. I'm happy to take any questions now. Otherwise, I would recommend that you open the public hearing. Once any questions are answered, that you'd open the public hearing, accept any testimony. And then following the public hearing, you could consider adopting the resolution that would make these fees, put them into effective January 1st. I also just wanted to point out one really sort of simple thing. This is the first time in several months that we brought to you the master user fee resolution, master fee schedule. And in April of each year, the garbage rates adjust based on the prior year's CPI. And so the current published master user fee does not reflect the adjustment that took place in April. And so the fees that are listed here are the approved fees from April earlier this year. So while the resolution shows those going up, they're already in effect. This is really just for transparency and to better document, better make the fees known to the public if they were to review the master fee schedule.
Thank you for your report. Any questions from board? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open up, since this is an public hearing item, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to the public. Any questions, comments regarding this item? No, anybody from Zoom in the public here? No, okay. I'll go ahead and close it and bring it back to the board. Any comments?
No,
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Yes. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for this item.
So I move that the board approve resolution number 16-2025, amending the master fee schedule by revising the development impact fees by the change in the construction cost index of 3.24% for water, wastewater, fire, park and rec, effective January 1, 2026.
Second. Who was that? Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Didn't sound like Chelsea.
All right, roll call.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Mortensen,
Aye.
Tyrone. Aye. And Bardavich.
Aye. Great, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, next item is Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO Special District Election. We have a election for a member.
Yes, special districts have primary seats and an alternate seat as well. Earlier this year, the prior alternate was elected to a primary seat, leaving a vacancy on the alternate seat. And so LAFCO went through gone through the formal process of accepting nominations. And there were three, that is Owen Davis from San Miguel CSD, John Joyce from Napomo CSD, and Justin Smith from Cayucas Sanitary District. Those three individuals are seeking appointment to the alternate seat. You have an opportunity to cast a ballot or cast a vote for one of those three individuals.
Great, thank you. All right, any comments, questions from the board? Okay, I'll go ahead to the public. Anybody from public that wants to speak on this item? Nobody came. Okay, I'll go ahead, close it, bring it back to our board and get their thoughts, comments for this item.
Let's see,
Preferences?
let's start with,
They were all pretty brief,
well, this is the tough one, because, I mean, it's really just what's written, and provided in the questionnaire, and sometimes that's just not always, I think, sufficient to, and it's hard to, how do you distinguish one from the other? Because for the most part, they're very similar. So, I mean, one thing I can look at is, this is really what's the role of this position that these individuals are seeking? And it's really to serve CSDs. So I know that the Owen Davis is from a CSD, San Miguel. Justin Smith, I think he is,
Cayucas.
yeah,
Oh,
Cayucas,
that's the sound, but
is it Cayucas?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is with Cayucas.
Yeah.
Going back.
And then you have
Cemetery
Napomo,
district.
and then you have Napomo.
Yeah, and so that's the sanitation district, thought I lost it, keeps jumping back. Might be scrolling. And when I look at, I don't think any one of them really, to me, kind of stood out as addressing really the role that they're seeking and how they're gonna fulfill that role. They all seem to speak from what their current role is. And look what I've done, this is what I've done in my current role. So I question, do they really know what their role that they're going into? Because I don't think that question was really answered. So it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for Owen Davis from
San Miguel.
San Miguel, I know he applied last time and he was a gentleman who just sent a picture of his resume. Yeah, and then, and I'm not quite sure if his experience is going to be, it's
Well,
gonna be,
yeah.
good for LAFCO. The gentleman from Napomo, now, my only hesitation from him is that we already have an EV from Napomo on LAFCO.
And
then-
that's, so John Joyce is
Yeah.
from Napomo,
Yeah,
right?
but he's, I mean, otherwise he's good. I know Mr. Ed Eby, I think he may, his term ends in 2 years because he got half a term. So his term is gonna end in 2 years, so I'm not sure whether he's gonna run again or not.
No.
So it may work out just fine.
Okay,
And then Cayucas, and I know the previous LAFCO representative was from Cayucas already. so
yeah, I'm
they
a little
have
hesitant
quite a-
about the Cayucas sanitation, I mean, because that just seems so limiting
Yeah.
in terms of scope, in terms of what
Yeah.
the issues that are
His
coming
is
up before
mostly just
LAFCO.
water. His is
Yeah,
just, his
yeah.
experience is just water.
Yeah,
Nothing
So-
else. So, and then with LAFCO, when we look at all the MSR municipal service reviews or sphere of influence, I mean, we're looking at the whole picture of everything you know, including fire, water, parks, administration, everything that comes in, so. It would be nice to have a little bit of experience on those departments, but none of these, well, San Miguel CSD, a little bit, with that, they have the fire department, but that's, you know, it's a volunteer fire department, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit different. But I don't know with San Miguel even where it stands in terms of CSDs right now, I don't know what their long-term.
So is
looking at.
John Joyce currently on that?
No.
No, so none of these.
So, and by the way, again, this is the alternate seat, so the alternate would only participate as a voting member of LAFCO if one of the other
The
two.
primary.
It's not there.
There are two, we have
Oh,
two,
two.
we have two special
And
districts,
TV.
and so if one of those two special district persons, one of which is here, were not to make it, then the alternate would step into their shoes for that given meeting.
Got it.
Yeah, I didn't really find a lot to do.
Yeah.
I guess we don't have to vote. right?
Yeah, you don't, you're right, this is an opportunity, not an obligation.
Yeah, we don't have to vote.
But I know LAFCO in the past has had difficulty getting a quorum of votes, and that just drags everything on and.
Yeah.
So I, maybe John Joyce, I mean, Nicola seems like a little broader.
Honestly, I would say the same. You know, based upon, we are looking at an alternative, not looking at major seat holdings.
Yeah.
We have an individual who has at least a significant portion of government work outside of just a specific industry. And, you know, I commend, especially for the non-dedication for Mr. Steggy within water resource, and that is a very big thing. That's not just what LAFCO does.
Yeah.
And so rather than not saying it,
Yeah, I think we need to vote.
yes,
Cause I would hate to see everyone else do the same thing.
correct.
So, but I mean, but really, none of them really
There's no
stand
quorum
out.
right now.
And I just don't think that the, explanation that they provided did not really speak to what their role and how they see their role on LAFCO.
Yeah.
Is
But-
that feedback that could be shared, LAFCO? Future applicants?
Yeah.
I mean, all applicants, even for these positions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe the question
But I mean, to, like,
could change
encourage,
a little bit, yeah.
Well, I think that the question of the application should define what the role is, and that I don't think does currently. So they should be providing, here's what the role is, here's the expectation. How do you see, you being part of this? And what do you bring?
Yeah, I think this whole process needs to be changed.
Take
a
care of
little
that
bit.
word.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's getting-
Take care of it. Somehow to LAFCO.
It's gonna drag on.
Somehow LAFCO now.
I mean, I
Okay.
was surprised to see that this, and this one, the term ends December 31st, 2030. But I think that's because he figured it's gonna take that long to get someone
Oh
elected.
my gosh.
So that way they could give them the full 4 years.
I thought maybe it
right?
was a
2030,
typo.
that's- Yeah. that's-
Starting in 26.
Yeah.
We'll
So
vote for
these-
somebody as long as.
Okay,
you're
so
there.
I make a motion
Oh,
that
yeah, you better show up.
we put forth the John Joyce as the nomination
John Joyce from Napoma.
from Napoma.
Okay, all right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call please.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Mortensen,
Aye.
Peterson,
All right.
Tyrone. Aye. And Bardonish.
All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, general managers report that one stuff.
All right. Okay, just a few items, one of them is particularly fun. We, Templeton CSD through our rec department will be participating in the trick or treat on Main Street. That's next Friday night, I believe, or next Friday afternoon, I believe, 3 or 3:30 to 6. Okay, those of you with kids have this down. 3:30 to 6 p.m. Last time I.
Yeah, there is an age.
So, but it is a well-attended event. There'll be a lot of parents and kids walking along the 2 or 3 block section here of Main Street. We have a number of businesses that participate. We, again, are not an organizer, but a participant since the rec department's on Main Street.
So does the Park and Rec, would they appreciate donations in
They
terms of
would,
candy?
they would, but if that's something you're considering, please do so sooner than later, so they, so they know it's
And nothing
available.
with peanut butter?
Yeah, I don't know what the,
No,
All
there
of-
shouldn't have any candy with peanut butter.
yeah, I can sort those out myself if you want. I can say that, since we're on this sort of fun topic, I made a donation. However, it was unable to make it from this building to that building. Anyhow, so there'll also be a haunted house that is being set up in that building that day, kind of for kids. As I noted to you over the weekend, we are having some SCADA issues. Our alarms, unless we did something today that prevented this from continuing, alarms are working. So that's the most important thing, that we would get an alarm if the water level went too low or too high, and allow and force us to take some manual intervention. But we're not getting controls through SCADA. It's not sending a signal to the wells to turn on. So we're having to kind of game this a little bit, kind of run it like we would have in the 80s with manual controls until we can get this resolved. We do have the equipment to diagnose it and started working on that today, but no, it's not resolved yet. And as soon as we know what it's gonna take, then we'll report back. If it's something that's beyond simply reprogramming a unit or replacing a small piece of hardware. I also wanted to note that somewhat unusually, we've got some work scheduled this coming Sunday. We have we had a leak on a service line near the hospital several weeks ago. We did a temporary repair so that we can keep everybody's service running. But in order to facilitate a permanent repair, we've got to shut down a section of Los Tablas. That affects a number of primarily medical buildings. And so we're opting to schedule this for Sunday. We've notified the impacted customers. We'll be closing some valves and replacing this service, or repairing the service line. And there's a couple of meters that we're going to go ahead and replace at the same time because they're also due, since we're doing a complete shutdown. So you may see some TCSD folks and equipment out there this Sunday. And again, that is a planned activity for that reason. And then finally, I will be gone on vacation beginning the end of this week and all of next. So I will not make it to Trick or Treat Main Street.
Oh, man. You sound disappointed.
I am a little disappointed.
Find an alternative.
As it turns out, yes.
Any questions for General Manager? Actually, I was wondering if you could report a little bit on, I think a significant item on our water units. How is that process going?
It's going well. Just to take you back a little bit, this summer, we made a change to the district's water buffer model assumptions. And that allowed the release of a couple hundred additional water units. And so since June, we've been making release announcements. We've had very few acceptances since in the last month. One property owner entered into a payment plan agreement for 10, and we got that we did another notice of release about 10 days ago, and we have one property owner so far claiming one unit that's not fully executed yet, but expected to be. And during the same time frame, we had 22 other units relinquished. So we actually have nearly as many units still available as we did in June. And my expectation is that it'll only require a couple more months of notifications. We're down to 7 property owners on the wait list. A couple of them want a lot of units. I say want, they're on the wait list for a lot of units. When push comes to shove, I don't think all those units are gonna go, but we really don't know until we put them on the clock. So that's been going relatively well and smoothly, and we're again, if you haven't seen the wait list in a while, it's of course online. It's something that comes up frequently. It's like a third of a page right now.
Wow.
5 years ago, this was like 6 pages.
Wow.
So it's a great possibility before end of the year.
We actually need to celebrate that.
That's huge.
Seriously.
So what's been interesting though is like some of the parties are on the wait list for a large number of units. They accept a small number and they put themselves back on the wait list for a big number again. And so it's just sort of a seemingly never ending cycle, but we will get there. And certainly we will have honored their I think there's, everybody who's on the wait list now, with maybe one exception, has already been offered units and they've just put themselves back on.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
That's good to know.
and then so that would mean that once we're done, we don't, people basically, whenever they're ready to do their project, they just come up, ask for the water unit. So the project has already been approved, it's ready to go from the county, and then we just offer them the water unit. So that's very significant.
Well, I think they have to have the water units, at least a will serve, before the county will actually get funded.
yeah, we would have to issue something like an intent to serve letter for the county to process it, but we'll see where we stand when this is over with. I mean, we may be in a position where we can just do that.
Yeah.
Because there's enough available to ensure that if it gets approved, that we're able to do so.
So that would mean.
More of an over the counter.
No more delays and.
So, yeah, it really, it's remained remarkable. Actually, I think some of us thought that, hey, since we were now getting to some of the more recent, like the last decade recent applicants, that maybe more of them were real. But the last couple of months were all, again, the last 10 years applicants, and for the most part, these units were not accepted. When offered.
All this time, we weren't the problem. Water units were not the problem.
Well, there's been a lot done though to get to this point. So, yeah, so kudos to the district staff, yourself included, Jeff,
Well-
and Justin for doing this. And I think there's also some things that the board did as well. So, yeah.
I mean, the whole reason we were able to release 250 units was because the job Justin has done with the sewer facility, being
Yeah.
able to get that effluent water and then process it, that's huge for us to be able to do that. That's huge. Basically increase our water supply. So everyone's doing a great job, so we appreciate it. Awesome, great. Any other questions, comments? Wonderful. All right, committee reports. We have 3 of them, TAG, Fire and Emergency, and TAG again.
So let
September
me just
18th,
mention
October
TAG. You'll notice that there's a number of projects on TAG, and Eric Toll with the county is now going through on some of these projects. Back to the developer to say, are you gonna submit the additional information? Because a lot of them are on hold, waiting for more information. So he is now going back to these parties and asking, are you moving forward? Because at some point, these have to be cleared out. So I don't know, William, if you wanna provide any more context to that. But there's a laundry list of projects that
Yeah,
have
they're all
not
on
moved in months.
Yeah, most of them are in information hold, and until he gets something, we can't even, we can't move on them, so.
Nor can the county.
Exactly.
The county is basically saying you need more information and they're not providing it. So hopefully that list will dwindle down. So we'll see.
But just for clarity, that more information typically isn't like name, address, phone number. It's like we need environmental studies.
Exactly.
So it's costly.
It's costly.
For the property owner to obtain.
Well, and some of it is, how are you dealing with this issue? They're not easy things to, that they can just say, yes, here's the form. Let me fill out the
And
form
if it's
correctly.
something about
It
traffic.
is more substantial.
It takes time in order to,
Yeah.
collect that data, so.
But I think the gas station developer for Vineyard, I think we chased him away at the TAG meeting, so I'm not sure he'll come back, but we'll see.
Yeah, but
He's on hold for
he
more.
bought a new piece of property on, Los Tapas.
Yeah, but that's his business model, is buying corner freeway lots, and putting up gas stations. But anyway.
All right.
So that's my only comment on TAG,
Okay.
and I do have comments on fire.
Go ahead.
So I did listen to the recording on the fire committee. And it sounds like there was a lot of issues that were brought up that need to be tackled. But going back to the September 3rd meeting, one of the things, one of the comments that were made is that on New Year's Eve, there are illegal fireworks that are lit. And I think with what the committee is dealing with and how to put together an enforcement program with the county, it's gonna take quite a bit of time. But we're also talking about trying to change behavior. So I shared with Jeff, I took the liberty of drafting a notice. Because I think it's important that we send something out rather quickly to talk about what the board is doing in terms of, so I'd like the fire committee to consider this. I'm not looking for the board to take action on this. He's already got a copy. But I think that it's important that the board take a look at, I'm sorry, I don't have another one. But I want the fire committee to consider this. And I think you have an upcoming meeting in November, but basically to say that the purpose of this communication is say, we, suffered a loss of iconic building, and as a result of that, there was a lot of public outcry. And the district is looking to make some changes. And with regard to safe and sane fireworks, the board has recommended some changes to safe and sane fireworks, and then also talking about illegal fireworks. I think if people understood that with illegal fireworks, you're taking a huge risk if you want to light those off. Now, if you want to risk, life to, damage to property, you could face criminal prosecution. But there's fines involved and it's not legal. So I think my intent was to get something out to acknowledge that we're doing something. And that the park is not, is a county park and fireworks are not allowed there. So if you can take that to the fire committee, and I'd like to see that it be sent out with the utility bills, perhaps in December. So, and you're welcome to critique it and change it however you like. But I think something needs to go out.
I think there is an opportunity when it comes down to the county park that we can at least communicate to the public that fireworks are just not allowed.
Well, that's the note in there.
And from that perspective, we still, I believe, we need to work out some of the legalese, if you will, when it comes down to enforcement outside of what the county.
That's why I don't speak to enforcement.
Yeah.
It's to say that we're looking to work with the county to come up with an enforcement program, but not saying what that is.
My concern is, I understand that you want to do this before January for New Year's, but we kind of haven't figured out the details of everything we want to do.
I don't think you
before
need the details here.
But for January, fireworks, whether they're everything is illegal. They're not, so there
My
should be no.
intent here is you're gonna have to change behavior, and it's gonna take a waterfall of communication. It's gonna take it over and over
I
again.
don't think reiterating county's laws in a communication platform that big of a step. By establishing a clear communication that these are the laws within county properties.
Well,
Let's go ahead.
So I think it's a matter of, I want I want to see that the fire committee, look at a communication. How you change it is up to you. But I think it's important that there be a communication sent out sooner than later. This also sends an acknowledgement to the people in the county or in our town who attended that meeting, who felt very strongly, because we had more people opposed to safe and sane fireworks than we had in favor of it. Because of all the
Well,
letters.
I
we received.
recommend that-
I think we're out of order here. This is
We're
not.
not out of order. I'm asking that it be taken to the fire committee
Sure.
and that there be
I-
some communication sent out.
I would highly suggest on the fire committee that this get brought up on our next fire committee. We can see a route that we can move forward.
I would agree.
Because your fire committee is gonna take a long time to come up with a resolution on how to enforce this. It's gonna take much longer, but we need to start with incremental steps.
So-
Not to belabor the point, I do think that the fire committee could work on something that's maybe more visual. And simple.
Yeah.
That doesn't get into the specifics of 4th of July. Just around setting the culture shift tone, I think there's more simplified visual.
It can be critiqued. I just think that there's.
You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, the board's discussion
Yes.
on this item really is beyond you
Yes.
can have a comment, and I think it's okay for the fire committee to tackle.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring it up.
Okay. So yes, we're good there. Activities, we have Any public comment on the committee reports? Okay, all right.
I had a question on the engineering.
Yes.
Do we
Oh,
know?
wait, no, activity update,
Oh,
okay, okay, we'll get there, okay, engineering, all right, go ahead.
The hazard mitigation grant program that was mentioned, is that the FEMA?
It's not the same FEMA program that we were looking into originally. It's actually a Cal OES / FEMA program that the county has a grant writer that assists them with identifying projects, but it is not the same funding source that we have.
But it is.
It's connected to FEMA. And yeah, for that reason, I don't have any idea if the federal shutdown it's delaying everything.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that April 2026 deadline.
I mean, that's just the latest information from September. There's actually a call tomorrow with county staff about status update on this program.
Any other questions for engineering report, public, any questions on, okay, finance, any questions on finance from the board? Public, okay, fire and emergency services, any questions on that? From the board? Okay, parks and recreation and solid waste, report on that. We're gonna have a meeting coming up too.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Okay, and lastly, utilities, any questions on utilities? Public, okay, all right. We are done with that, okay, directors' reports or comments, any directors' reports or meetings or anything like that you have been involved with?
Yep, then here.
Okay. I think I'm good too, alright. Okay, we have a list of items tentative items are coming up over the next couple of months. Other than that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.